TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Was there any jealousy between the top heels like you, John Studd, and I was going to ask you my next question, Roddy Piper, for instance. What are your thoughts as Roddy as a top heel, and was there any like jealousy between all the heels for the spot?
Oh, I think so. On my part, I could give a fuck.
Right.
I wasn't. These guys were fighting for this and that, and for their TV spots and their commercial stops and endorsements and stuff. And I never saw it that way. You know, a lot of people say, "Hey, Patera, you're lying." I said, "I swear to God, I never. My kids, whatever you want to say,
right.
I never thought that way." And I met Roddy, I think he's 16 years old in Winnipeg, Canada. And I was with the AWA at the time. I was just out of the Olympic Games. Roddy was sleeping in El Tomco's gym. El Tomco was the promoter for Winnipeg at the time. And Wally Carbo had like 50% of the promotion or whatever it was, you know.
Right.
So Roddy would bring the ring jackets back and stuff, and and Roddy, you know, he had acne problem back then, you know, when he was a kid, and I think Roddy was adopted. I'm not sure, but he really a nice kid. I mean, really, you know, he had balls, and he wound up out in Portland, Oregon, my hometown.
For Don Owens.
Yeah, for Don, and I met Don Owens twice in my life. I grew up in Portland, Oregon. You ready for this?
Huh.
I grew up in Portland, Oregon. I never wrestled for Don Owens.
Huh.
I met Don over in Hawaii in January of '73. I met him and his wife. They were coming back from a trip from Japan, and I talked to Don. I said, "God, Don, I'm wrestling for Vern Gagne out of Minneapolis," and I said, I'd love to wrestle for you in Portland, Medford, Pendleton, you know, areas, Vancouver, Washington, wherever. He says, "Well, Ken, I don't want to burst your bubble, but I can't pay you the money that Vern Gagne is going to pay you. You know, there's not much sense of you coming out here."
Right.
And so basically, I never wrestled in my hometown until the very end.
Did you like Piper? I mean, obviously you liked him more.
Yeah.
Right, cool.
Hot Rod. Fuck, I love Hot Rod.
Any good stories on Piper?
Huh?
Any good stories with Piper?
I never really hung out with Hot Rod. You know, I knew he had a cocaine problem.
Right.
You know, when we were over staying there at the Holiday Inn there in Newark, New Jersey, I mean, that's old. Fuck, that's.
I hear you.
How old's that story? 25 years.
Yeah. No, the road schedule back then was really rough. You guys were on the road all the time. Sometimes, like, the loops were crazy. You'd be on the East Coast to the West Coast in one day, and the travel, and, you know, everyone knows about the story that happened with you and Mr. Saito. It's, you know, we've done interviews with a lot of the guys in the business, and they all talk about it. I know you might not want to talk about it, but if you could just touch on it briefly, what exactly happened? You guys were late at night and hungry, and the place was closed, and you just, you know, burned out from the road, and you know how it is on the road.
Yeah, we wrestled in Watertown, Wisconsin, little town from Milwaukee. We wound up staying in Waukesha, which was another little town next to Milwaukee. And we were in the bar, had a few martinis, whatever we were drinking. And Mad Dog Vachon had whacked Saito in the knee with the fucking chair. He could hardly walk. His fucking knee was all swollen up twice his size. I said, "Well, that's all right." I said, "Stay here. I'll walk down to McDonald's." So I walked down to McDonald's. I went to it was like 12:30 at night, 1 o'clock. No, it was, I'll tell you exactly when it was. Because I remember the court transcripts. It was like 5 after 12. And I asked the guy if I could buy a couple hamburgers. He says, oh, aren't you Ken Patera? I says, yeah. Yeah, great, yeah, nice talking to you. I said, God, I'd like to have a couple heavy, like a half a dozen quarter pounders. He said, well, I can't sell you anything, we're closed. I said, fuck, you got 2-3 trays over there. I mean, piled high of these quarter pounders. And he said, well, we're doing a TV commercial for the local area. And they're cold and they've been there for a while. So I can't sell anything like that to you. And I says, well, fuck. I'll give you, $20, throw a half a dozen in the bag. I think they were like, 75 cents a piece at the time, 50 cents a piece at the time. We're talking, 1984, 24 years ago. Somebody that they fucking fired a day or a couple days before, he comes by, he's drunker and shit, he picks up a rock and throws it through the fucking window. They say that I threw the rock. The guy doesn't even know because he fucking ducked. He saw the guy. So he took it for granted. He told the cops that I threw the rock. I never fucking touched the rock. Anyway, within 30 minutes, about 35 minutes after 12, the cops are banging on my door. I'm talking to my babysitter on the fucking phone, trying to track my wife down. The bimbo was out fucking with her girlfriends. My kids at that time were, 3 years old and 6 months old. So anyway, Saito answers the door. He's not understanding a fucking word they're saying. They're talking a million miles an hour. Anything, one thing leads to another. They try to kick the doors in. I get up. I come over. I get maced immediately. I don't even say one word. I'm maced. And then the fucking nightsticks start flying. And we wind up out in the hallway. 16 cops wind up on top of us. How in the fuck did 16 cops? This whole fucking thing. But they weren't 16 Waukesha cops. They were state police officers. They were a sheriff, deputies. There were sheriffs. There were fucking Waukesha policemen. There were fucking 5 departments involved. They fucking, in 30 minutes, they commanded all these different departments to come down and fucking bust us on this fucking thing. We wound up going to prison for 2 fucking years over this bogus bullshit fucking rap. So, anyway, that's enough of that.
I hear you. Was it hard to adjust after you got out?
Yeah. I came back to the WWF and it had totally changed. The old man had passed away in '84, and I just, I never adjusted.
Did Vince keep his promises? I mean, did he contact you while you're away for saying that when you come back you have a job and all that good stuff?
Yeah, not so much, but yeah,
right,
a little bit,
Did you like the idea when you came back to, I guess, have your hair natural and it wasn't bleached, and then it did the angle with you and Bobby Heenan where he whipped you?
That was my idea, because if I came back with bleached blonde hair and as a criminal, fuck, you kidding me?
Right.
I would have been a fucking sitting duck for every fucking piece of shit in the world.
I hear you.
Back then, I mean, when you were a bad guy back in those days, you were a bad guy. You were a fuck. Nowadays, if you're a bad guy, everybody comes up and kisses your ass and wants your autograph and picture.
Right.
Yeah, it's entirely. This is 20 years later. I mean, the guys nowadays don't understand. They really don't. I mean, they're 30 years old. They were only 10 years old at the time. They don't understand how things work.
TitleMatchNetwork.com